Imagine this. You awake in a dark and empty room. No light to be found, no one else to be seen, just you in the darkness. And yet no matter how hard you pound on the walls or scream aloud, you know that nobody is coming to save you. This, ladies and gentlemen, is how it feels to deal with depression and anxiety. And for 5 years, I was trapped in that room, knowing that nobody or anything was coming to get me out. So, I took the matter in my own hands. I had to write out my own map. And the problem with writing out your own map is you never know where to start. But for me, I had to start from the beginning. When I grew up with bullies my entire life. I was born into a rough neighborhood. Nobody talked to me, and those that did either abused me or just pretty much harmed me in any way possible. Throughout that time, because I couldn't talk very well or do anything properly, I developed a stutter and a limp. My ankles were weak from getting hurt too much, and I didn't know how to speak fluently very well, so I stuttered constantly throughout my life. And it took me years to overcome that issue, and the more I tried thinking, today's gonna be a good day, I'm gonna fight back, the harder it came down on me. In 8th grade, the hardest part came for me when my uncle, who was my best friend practically, passed away. At a time when I thought nothing could ever bring me down, that dragged me down further than ever. And that's when the walls I never imagined seeing began to build. And that's when I realized I was depressed. And the problem with depression is everyday common symptoms. You feel lifeless, you lose energy more than ever, you have insomnia or overrest, and sometimes it can lead to suicidal thoughts. And the worst thing of all is you never know who's suffering before it's too late. For example, there was a boy who I was friends with at Enterprise. His name was Jacob Mahovsky. And every day at school, I always talked to him. He had a smile on his face. He was always so happy and vibrant and loved his friends, which made it all the more concerning when I found out a year later he had committed suicide. And I, much as myself, the walls began to rebuild because I never knew how bad it could have gotten until that day. And it led to so much trauma and pain for years after, when it even got to the point where I tried because nobody was there for me and I was broken. So I kept trying to push myself, thinking I was going to be okay, it was going to be safe. And the more I tried, it rose a small amount and then it plummeted, because what else could I have done? And part I had never realized until sophomore year of high school was there was always a way out of it. My way out led to an English classroom sophomore year in American literature, when we were tasked to do a homework assignment on the modern age, which was based around World War II writing. And World War II era was very melancholic and depressing. And my teacher tasked me with writing something based around that. So I wrote about my journey in the walls, me being trapped and pounding on the walls, building up this false hope of a door being found, and then I get back up and it's gone. And this endless cycle for days, months, weeks, even a year is how long it lasted me until I was broken. So I showed my teacher. So the day after, my teacher asked if anyone wanted to present it. I stood up thinking I had a shot. I did it, read it, and she loved it. But I didn't. So I threw it away. And I stopped writing poetry for weeks because I didn't think I was ready for it, or I was brave enough to write something that's that bold. And I put it away, and then the more I kept trying to postpone it, the harder it came back. The more it came back to me, and I had to give in. And honestly, it's probably one of the best things I ever did. Because after that, I kept writing, and kept writing, and kept writing, so much that happened. Present day, 4 journals, 3 contest entries later, I became a poet. And I never would have and I begged for a sign that I should keep going. And that sign came in a flyer that my teacher gave me for extra credit for the American Library of Poetry. It was an annual contest they host where students can submit their entries just for fun, no fee required, and try to earn prizes. Me being barely passing in English, I took it. And I just thought, I'm not gonna win. And then a few months later in June, I got a letter back from them saying they loved my poem. And so they loved it so much that they wanted to publish it. And that's when I realized that I had a gift. Not something that I can talk to with friends or be open about for a long time, but something I could write down and express my emotions and call mine. And for so long, I never thought I had that, because I was so scared to show my parents, my friends, even my greatest allies in the world. They never saw it until this year, because I was scared to show them. And then I thought, what's the best way to show it than to express it my own way? And then I realized how many more people suffered the way I did, but they never had a way out. So I gave them one. Earlier this year, I wrote my own poetry book. I wrote 38 different poems, all about my journey through the darkness. Because if I could find a way out in the darkest of days, someone else can too. I wrote it, published it, not even thinking that what would happen would be bad, because I knew that if someone found it, just one person could find it and be inspired by my work. Maybe they could find a way out. And for a while, I thought that would never happen, because nobody wants to read melancholic work. They always focus on the light side, the happiness, the beautiful rays of sunshine in the world, and not the darkness. Well, funny thing is, most of my work is darkness. And I learned to adapt from it. I took the 5 years of my world that felt like it was in agony. The times I was thrown at the edge, about to jump, and then something always held me back. And for a long time, I never knew what that was, and then I realized it was my family. Just because I was so scared to tell them about what was going on doesn't mean that they would be hurt if I had left this world. I could vanish for minutes and they'd get worried, but if I vanished forever, they would be crushed. So I kept pushing myself away from the edge, and I kept fighting back against whatever came in my way. And it was probably the most difficult challenge I ever faced in my life, but I would live through it again 100 times if it meant I could just see them smile again. And I remember one year, the same year I started writing poetry, one of my favorite teachers in my yearbook wrote, "Write something happy over summer break." And so I did. But it took me a while to realize what happiness really felt until I turned 18 this year. And I wrote this. 18 years of age, scattered across every page, the life full of terror and glee and the light within me. Stories of a lost writer, thriving to be inspired. 3 years of true art, but within him from the start. Walked upon blades and nails, learning from every fail, mistake after mistake among every step of the way. A shy little sophomore, writing his first poems and more, now grown into the shoes of someone writing under skies of blue. Every word and phrase crafted within the world he made. A world broken under the madness, fed by anger and sadness, but forever healed and saved from the hope given from the grave. Writing to no real end, smiling among his friends, growing from every scar, every poem written under the stars, but I will always cherish the lives that had perished. Family and friends who had met their apparent ends, never to be forgotten from my horizons being broadened. In which my life, witnessing the fateful sunset, in which my life was reset, resting upon that shaded tree, writing for none to have seen, until I began to test what made my work best. Their voices in critique, all supportive and unique, closing this book of tears that have brought me here. Resting my years of knowledge onto the path of college, glancing upon the sunset, remembering the stories I kept. The lessons I have learned, flying so close but unable to burn. And after I wrote that, I went back into the walls again, because I was home alone that same day when I turned 18. My parents were gone, my family, everyone was gone because they were busy. And I was back into the walls of darkness, except this time, a door opened. And then I realized that I don't need people to give me a light, because I have a light right here in a story of four journals, 3 published entries, and a 4th one coming, in a world beyond what I ever imagined seeing, a world where I could be famous and publish my work as what once was a small, scrawny 8th grader now becoming a senior in high school, writing out his stories to give people hope again. Because, believe it or not, people need hope more than I ever imagined seeing. And whenever you find those walls, there's always someone on the other side waiting for you. Someone you never expect to see until it is. And that other side, that other person is you. Because no matter how hard you deny it, there's always the person deep down inside you that's telling you that there is hope. Whether you believe it or not, that's your decision. But for 5 years, I decided not to believe it until I saw the door open again. And I realized that I've always been here. I just let myself be corrupted by the darkness again. So it's been 5 years fighting back against everything that haunted me, broke me down, even gave me a stutter and a limp, but I'm still standing. That's the last thing I could ever ask for. And you may not remember this whole presentation or know my name, but remember this: it hurts more to take a life than to live it. Thank you.